So this next story is about a former pro-lifer slash forced birther who had a come to Jesus moment when she actually needed to terminate a pregnancy. You can see the sign right here saying, "My grape baby saved my life," and she gives her handle is at pro-life Jewess. Now, this blog post is from Protestia. So, this is a Christian pro life blog post. So, they title it Outspoken Pro Life Activist Has Secret Termination, says baby would interfere with university and make her poor. So, like I said, this woman right here that you see down here in the blue shirt, this woman was formerly pro life. Now she is not pro life. She has since changed her mind. And now the pro life crowd is turning on her. Here they are describing how she was when she was pro life. It says, when Ayala was a child, she was repeatedly SA'd for years. When she was 15 years old, she became pregnant through grape. Amazingly, despite the tragedy in conception, Ayala actually felt love for the child and fought to keep it. Sadly, she miscarried and lost her daughter. Now, Ayala is a powerful advocate for life with a significant presence on social media where she vigorously defends the truth that every life is sacred. So she was 15 when this happened. And then, she didn't actually have a baby, but conceptually, she was very, very much pro life. But then when life smacks her in the face and she is like facing, how am I going to pay for this? That is when, she made a change. Now that she has changed her mind, the pro life crowd is coming for her. People like me, I'm going to highlight that this is how these people are when they are faced with life. They'll change their mind. When it's a concept and it's somebody else and it's those ladies of the night and they're just using this as birth control, that it's easy to point and say, it's those women over there. But when life actually hits them and then they have a really good reason for it, then they start to soften, they have a change of mind. So this person yearns for heaven says, please pray for God to soften Lottie's heart and call her to repentance. She has essentially rejected the pro-life cause and now champions people to have reproductive rights. This is really, really little. It says, a few days ago, I wrote a post on my personal blog regarding a decision I made about my reproductive health. The blog had around 100 subscribers, and only a few people ever read my uploads. I made the mistake of believing two things: that I was no longer relevant in the anti-smemortion spaces after months of severing ties to much of the movement, and that my private healthcare decisions were my own business. I made the same mistakes during my pregnancy while considering the healthcare options I had access to. When I discovered I was pregnant, I almost immediately contacted a prominent anti-smemortion activist with whom I had not maintained contact with in around a year. We had once, over a year before, been friends. When we broke off communication, there was an understanding that our political values were no longer aligned. Still, I reached out despite the animosity we left with because I believed the activists and organizations that became involved were chiefly concerned with helping women experiencing unplanned pregnancies. I told them that I was pregnant, that I had an appointment for a smemortion consultation, and that I was scared. I told them I needed resources if I was going to keep my pregnancy. Many have mocked me and undermined the severity of my situation. But at that point, I had been out of work for over 2 months. I was living on the few $100s in my savings account, could not find a job, did not have a car, did not have a license, was living primarily with my parents, who also had nothing to give me, was struggling to find a way to pay for college. I was to attend 2 months from then, was already struggling with medical debt from treatment for chronic health issues, and had just left a month of inpatient treatment for alcoholism. Despite birth control I took religiously, I was pregnant and asking for help. Without it, smemortion was my only option. Throughout my conversations with these organizations, I was pressured to leave the state and my support system to stay with activists in DC until the date of my consultation appointment had passed. I was questioned in depth about my relationship, my addiction, my mental health, my religion, and my ideas about promotion. I was asked to provide my address for the sending of a care package, which shockingly never arrived. I was asked multiple times about scheduling an appointment with a crisis pregnancy center, had an appointment made for me almost immediately, and after I expressed my discomfort with what I felt was a strange amount of pressure to go to said appointment, was told the organization offering financial aid would not help me until I visited a crisis pregnancy center to receive an ultrasound there. I explained that I wanted to receive an ultrasound from a medical professional at the Smorgasbord facility instead. I was told any clinic would give me medically false information, and that the pregnancy center staff were the only ones who would tell me the truth. I don't see the first part of this sentence right here, so I'm going to skip down to many anti-smorgasbord activists have had and will have smorgasbords. Most of them will never acknowledge these procedures publicly, much less change their public beliefs regarding them. I have been accused of hypocrisy countless times in the last week because I changed my beliefs, but that isn't true hypocrisy. I am standing up in front of everyone to say that I was wrong, and I am sorry for the damage my rhetoric did. However, I am not sorry for changing my mind, and I will not slink away in shame to the comfort of the anti-smorgasbord lobby. The experience has shattered any remaining delusions I held regarding good anti-smorgasbord activism that simply organizes baby registries for poor mothers. There is no separating any facet of the anti-smorgasbord movement from the carceral conclusions of their legal platforms. There is no progressive anti-smorgasbord ideology. The self-professed end goal of many of the groups is putting women in jail for their reproductive decisions. I have seen countless social media posts, including from some anti-smorgasbord thought leaders, calling for me to suffer the death penalty. I have seen people offering hundreds of dollars for my personal information. I have seen endless demands for my cancellation, humiliation, and exile from public life. This is to say nothing of the people personally harassing and threatening me, which I have been forced continuously to report to the police. I am now speaking directly to those people when I say I am not backing down. Women are the backbone of this country. Women of the South, especially the rural South and the Appalachian Mountains, are the strength of our communities. Many of us are the descendants, of women who crossed the ocean in poverty with the hopes of a better life. Our foremothers worked tirelessly on farms and logging camps and in factories and cotton mills. They fought for their freedom and their rights in their generations, and they are watching us now. Many Southern women are angry, and that angry is only growing. And that anger is only growing. Our bodies, our futures, and our lives are on the line. I believe it's time for religious, Republican, and anti-smorgasbord women to engage with the nightmare playing out in the South. We are now facing a very real, very near future in which women are investigated and prosecuted not just for receiving smorgasbord care and not even just for adverse pregnancy outcomes, as unbelievable and outrageous as both of these notions are. When these activists weaponized mental health services against me and attempted to put legal roadblocks in my way, I was merely considering smorgasbord, and that's evidently enough for the extremists to involve legal authorities in women's reproductive decisions. We are not going back and we are not backing down. If any politician in Raleigh or Washington or any self-righteous activist for that matter think they can tell us when and how to give birth, they will learn a difficult lesson. We don't do things like that around here. These are our rights. Come and take them. So, I'm not going to go that hard on her because I know the forced birther crowd is going at her. But she was more than willing to strip women's rights, just like they are trying to take her rights. So many people have to touch the fire. They have to learn firsthand that fat meat is indeed greasy. They have to do it all for themselves in order to see that women should have rights. But until it happens to them, it's those girls over there, those loose and lascivious girls over there. They're the ones that are the bad ones. But this is me. This is me. Y'all weigh in though. Don't forget to like.